Hi everyone. Wow, it's really week 10. So this week it might be a little short. Just gonna catch you up on some things and talk a little bit about program development since my program is a little newer, so I've been able to be involved in some of that. So during staff meeting this week, we did talk about some program development. Just to remind you, I am at the Family Resource Center in Boston. So this consists of like a school liaison for like Boston Public Schools, so families can call if they have issues around or just getting support around some like school support stuff for their children. We also have like family support workers, which is what I am. And then we have a Spanish speaking person who is able to talk to the Spanish-speaking families, because there's a lot of those in Boston, which that's really helpful to have. I wish I was able to speak a different language, but unfortunately I can't. And then we have two clinicians. One is my field instructor, and then we also have another clinician who's part-time, and then we have like a person who answers the phone, so he's like basically like our secretary kind of person, which is great. So there isn't too many people involved, but then we also have 3 interns. One intern actually just ended her internship. So with that, we did talk about program development, and it's a room not too big. There's about 3 different workspaces, and they're just like very big tables that we all sit at with our computers and our laptops and things like that. So we talked about what's working, and with that we talked about how the shared workspace is really working really well, because we're able to just talk to any coworker and ask like if we need help with a resource, like say someone's really good at housing, so we are able to talk to them about housing because they're right there, which is really good. But then I mean that also is on the downside, since someone is always available, someone may be busy and then you may be distracting them, so that's another kind of a downfall that we talked about as well. It's also really good when there's like a crisis or emergency that a family has. The team is really supportive around that, and the team has been really supportive. If like someone is doing a session or an intake with a client and they aren't able to kind of support that person, if someone else is more specialized in that, like a clinician, they would step in and kind of help that person out. We also kind of just talked about like very like things that around like having someone else in the office during late hours, because the hours is open until 7 p.m. So just having that person or 2 or 3 people available during that time is something that we talked about as well, and kind of rotating those hours. Not that I would be one, because interns can't be like alone in the office. So we talked about areas of growth, ways to share resources. So we've talked about how maybe like every month we would have a different subject that we would talk about, whether it be like housing, and just kind of talk about the different housing resources that everyone knows, and coming up with different things and researching different ones, and maybe coming up with like a handbook and things like that. And then it is like kind of a crowded space. We are moving, even though it's going to be when I end my internship. I think we're moving in January, so that'll be great, and it'll be a bigger space for them to work. So that's good. Maybe having like a resource guide also, that would have been really helpful for me when I started off as an intern. Just having just basic a resource guide for like legal stuff or housing stuff, school stuff, things like that. That would have been really helpful. But I mean, so I guess this kind of took up the 5 minutes, but it was really interesting being able to like kind of have my word in like program development and things like that. That was really helpful. And kind of just also talking about different things that would have been helpful that when I started, like having the resource guide. So have you guys been able to be a part of any program development in your fieldwork at all? All right, I look forward to your feedback. Have a good week.